Here's what we are going to cover in this video. First, we're going to go over how to develop your LinkedIn network. And second, we're going to go over the mindset that you need to have in order to achieve profitable business results using LinkedIn. So let's start with developing your LinkedIn network. Your LinkedIn network consists of 3 degrees of connection. First, it consists of your first-degree connections. First-degree connections are people who have sent you invitations and you have accepted, or you have sent invitations to them and they have accepted. Think of first-degree connections as the people who are already in your network and you are allowed to send direct messages to. Next come your second-degree connections. People who are connected to your first-degree connections are your second-degree connections. So think of your second-degree connections as people who are connected to your first-degree connections. You'll be able to see if someone is a second-degree connection because they'll have a second-degree icon next to their name, either in the search results or on their LinkedIn profile when you look at them when you're signed into your account. You can send second-degree connections an invitation to connect by clicking the connect button on their LinkedIn profile or by contacting them through an in-mail through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Then lastly, you have your third-degree connections. And third-degree connections are people who are connected to your second-degree connections. And you'll know if someone is a third-degree connection because you'll see a third-degree icon next to their name. Third-degree connections are people who are connected to your second-degree connections. You'll know that someone is a third-degree connection because you'll see a third-degree icon next to their name in the search results and on their LinkedIn profile. So why is this relevant? It's relevant because LinkedIn is built off of this idea of first, second, and third degree connections. Unlike Facebook and Instagram that are more open access, LinkedIn is built around this idea of first, second, and third degree connections. Your LinkedIn account is about developing a network. As you connect with more people and obtain more first degree connections, you gain access to more second degree connections, which also then gives you access to more third-degree connections. So I hope that you can see that developing your network can become developing a network can become strategic. Who do you want to network with? Whose network do you want access to? Getting someone to be your first-degree connection that has a large network gives you more access to more second and third-degree connections. Ultimately, the question that you need to ask yourself is what audience are you optimizing around? Who do you want to be in your network? Are you trying to network casually or are you trying to network in a very strategically targeted way? There's no right or wrong answer to this question. It's about choice. It's about strategy. Who do you want to network with? How do you envision using your LinkedIn account? For some of my clients, their aspirations are to scale their sales. Therefore, my team and I reach out to people every day in their target market to try to expand their network. Our goal is to get as many people as we can into the network so we have more people and exposure and access to sell and develop them as authority leaders. However, on the flip side, some of my other clients don't want to scale their sales. They want to build themselves up as authority leaders in a more strategically targeted way. For this reason, we don't strive to create the largest network possible. Rather, we try to develop the network somewhat strategically and really focus more on social media and different types of actions that we can take to develop engagements with the first degree connections. So you can see that if you're trying to scale your sales, you want to develop strategies around how to do outreach and get your second and third degree connections, more second and third degree connections into your network. But if your desire is to develop real meaningful first degree connections, then you might not want to direct all of the actions that you want to take around second and third degree, but rather focus on trying to build real relationships with your first degree connections. When I started networking on LinkedIn, my desire was to try to meet people and get them on the phone in order to see how I could transition them off of the platform and sell them marketing services. And after a few months of strategic effort, I did get better at it, and I was able to get people onto sales calls where I can network with them and really try to introduce myself and try to understand what it is. When I started networking with people on LinkedIn, my desire was to try to network with people and try to get them onto sales calls. This way I could introduce myself and hopefully try to sell them marketing services. But what I found throughout that experience was that when you transition prospects off of the LinkedIn platform, the majority of the time you don't have a relationship with those people yet. So you need to be very careful about how you are presenting yourself, your offer, your company, what your desires are. When I first started, I was so focused on selling that looking back on it, I failed in the opportunity to really develop relationships with the people that I was talking with. I was too caught up in trying to talk about myself and my business and what I could do for them. I didn't do the best job listening to their current pain points and understanding what it is that they wanted out of the relationship. Over time, I was able to figure out that success really came down to your ability to diagnose your prospects' problems. Now, this could happen on the LinkedIn platform. This could happen on a sales call. This could happen in one conversation. This can happen in many conversations. But the key thing to understand is that every person that you speak with on LinkedIn has a current situation. And what you need to be able to do is to understand their desired situation. Now, when I first started networking with people on LinkedIn, I like to focus on explaining to my prospects what my current situation was, and even just talking about what my desired situation would be. I was talking instead of listening. And what I found was that when I flipped my mentality to focus my energy on understanding my prospect's current situation and then my prospect's desired situation, it allowed me to position my offering of what it is that I wanted out of the relationship as the bridge that would be able to help them. And this is when I started having a lot more success, which leads me to my next point, which is the profitable mindset that you need to have in order to achieve successful networking results on LinkedIn. The profitable mindset is to understand that LinkedIn success comes out of your ability to develop relationships. It's not about sales. If you focus exclusively on selling your product or service, then you are failing to build relationships with the other people on the receiving end of your actions. LinkedIn is an interesting platform. While it allows the conducting of business, it's also behind a profile, behind a screen. So it loses the human element. If you can be the person that brings the human element back to the platform by focusing more on the relationship and getting to know the person, then it will help you with your sales. So here is my LinkedIn execution strategy today that I want to share with you. I focus on networking over pitching, and I learned this lesson the hard way. I used to pitch people very, very often. In my mind, I thought it was a numbers game. If I could pitch more people, then I would get more results. And I actually found the opposite to be true. The more that I focused on networking and building relationships, the more sales I was able to create, the more opportunities I was able to develop. When you lead with the desire to networking and build a relationship, then it makes it a lot easier to position your offering and your pitch at an opportune time that leads to a successfully profitable relationship. So here is the biggest tip that I can give you. And here's my marketing strategy. It's to care. It's to actually be different by showing the other person on the recipient side that you actually care about forming a relationship. And you do this by asking diagnostic questions about their life, their current situation. What is their desired situation? Focus less on yourself and trying to get people to understand you, and focus more on caring about getting to know the other person. And when you do this successfully, you'll see that your engagement improves. Now, if you have any questions related to your current situation, your desired situation, or anything that was discussed in this video, then I encourage you to just drop a comment and I will get back to you.